Okay, welcome back to Nicholas Comic Corner Classic Lesson Non-Classics. This is episode number 1880 and Doubleshot number 1774. I have two DC books. Both came out last year. Well, the issues they are. I believe the first one definitely did come out last year. Now here's the strange thing about this book. This book is actually the final issues of the series. What series is it? About to find out. We have Superman, the one who fell. Yes. Yeah, this collects the final four issues of Superman, Volume 4. Yes, the final four issues, because they basically canceled this book, issue 32, and they pretty much relaunched it as Superman Son of Kal-El, which I'll discuss next Comic Corner. It only collects issues 29, 40, 32. It also collects Action Comics 1029. Basically 29 and issue 1029. This is a two-part crossover known as the Golden Age. The best way to describe this particular story arc, it's mostly put a backdoor pilot in a way of setting up basically the relaunch comes afterwards. And basically the final few issues, which is called One Fell for Earth, this is a team-up story of Superman and his son John, and basically planted the seeds for the relaunch. Though mostly the best way to describe also this book is it takes place prior to the start of the current Action Comic storyline. Yes, definitely. That's pretty much the best way to describe this one. It's pretty interesting for what it is. It's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Yes, this is something quite interesting though. He took over this book after Bendis left in issue 28, and he just did 4 issues of this book and they just ended it. Of course, the artwork in this book is done by Phil Holster and Scott Gowski. The cover art for the collection is done by Phil Holster, Eric Geister, who is the inker, and Hi-Fi, who is the colorist. Now, this is really good, and, well, basically in the way to have Superman be written out of his own comic book, to have John get his own book as Superman. I have heard rumors of the reason why this book ended, like at this book and numbering. Now, the Superman book itself, despite having 3 relaunches over the years, this book is published on a consistent basis since 1939. It is one of DC's longest running comic books. And despite its 3 relaunches, it still kept publishing. Yes, I think it was launched pretty much the same year that Marvel Comics #1 came out. And it was published on a consistent basis. And then they ended it. The rumor I've heard, the reason why it ended, was because apparently in a little over 10 years from now, Superman is bound into the public domain. Yes, seriously. That is the rumor I heard. The reason why they ended the book is because the very next decade, Superman enters public domain, and then Batman's turn. Now, as for why in the world DC is allowing this to happen, I don't know. Now, of course, it's been the story swirl over the years is that DC Comics screwed over the creators of Superman. And they've tried to sue them constantly over the years. And they got some stuff, but they won't get back Superman. There's also a story I've heard, and this is completely utterly ridiculous, where apparently one of the things they wanted from DC when it comes to Superman is his suit. The one that has the red trunks. Now, this I think is quite stupid on the part of the creators for doing this. And the last people who sued them, basically, the case was thrown out of court from what I heard. Yeah, because the judge finally realized this was early stupidity. And this has been going on for way too long. And, okay, my message for the families, the creators of Superman, stop suing DC Comics. You want to know why you should stop suing? Because the number one group of people who you are ruining this for is the fans. The fans love Superman. I may not be the biggest Superman fan, but I like reading his comic book. Please stop suing them. And I have heard also that the family of Steve Ditko is suing DC Marvel over the rights for Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, which in my opinion is stupid. Really stupid. I hope the judge goes out of court because this is so stupid. Yeah. But in the case of this book itself, it's actually pretty good. I'm going to give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Alright. Moving on to a book that I don't really know. Now, my friend Tivit, he's been a big DC fan for years. Now, I'm sure he might like some aspects of this book. Now, this book was published last year. You can kind of, in a way, say this was kind of a crossover last year. But here's the strange thing. We had only one crossover last year for DC Comics across the entire company. And what crossover was that? Fear State. Though this is basically what the banner of the book's basically. This is what... Now, Dark Knight's Middle unlocked a lot of aspects, basically, that I'm quite interested in. And this book is meant to explore those new aspects. We have Infinite Frontier. Yes, the very trade paperback that collects these, 6 issues plus issue 0. Issue 0, the best way to describe this issue, it's just a backdoor pilot to all of DC books publishing right now. Yeah, it just basically... Now, here's the thing. As far as I can tell, only one story has been collected from this particular story in a trade related to character. And that's the one for Batman. That was collected in the very first trade that came out for James Tynion's run for Batman. That was the first time it was collected. Detective Comics didn't collect it. But the most interesting about this one-shot, even laid groundwork for stuff in the books themselves, but also this book is... Now, issue 0 is noteworthy for one thing only. Basically, this is the issue where Bane is found dead by Joker gas. It was suspected. Now, here's the thing about this death. It is barely investigated. It's like Batman frees the people. And if you want to get my forward thoughts on this, check out my review for the first trade that collects issues of the Infinite Frontier stuff for Batman. Now, in the case, the main miniseries itself. Now, these are your stars for this book. Now, Barry himself is actually in this miniseries. He does play a small role in it. You could say also this is sort of a minor love letter to Crisis of Earth because there's lots of references to it in this book. Now, here are your stars for this book. You have Calvin, a character who was created by, I think it was Grant Morrison. He's the president of United States on Earth 23, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me. Yeah, Calvin Ellis. Yeah, he's a Grant Morrison character who's been around for a long period of time. And here's the interesting thing about this guy. There is nothing been altered about this guy at all. Mainly because the fact that he actually is from another world. That's simply put basically what the character is. We also focus in this book on Roy Harper, who was resurrected by a Black Lantern ring. Though they revealed in the course of the miniseries, this is not the Black Lantern ring of Earth, of the reality of Earth Zero. This is from a different universe, associated with Darkseid. We also have Cameron Chase. Yes, Cameron Chase. A character who's got a significant amount of development by J.H. Williams III. An absolute great character who got a one-shot appearance also on Arrow. We also have Alan Scott, and there's something about this version of Alan Scott there's something revealed about Alan Scott, in my opinion, is really stupid. We also have Jade and Obsidian, and surprisingly, this is kind of weird. We also have the Flashpoint Batman in this miniseries. Yes, a character was last seen at the end of Tom King's run for Batman. So, if you think about it, by the time this miniseries came out, this is his first appearance in about a year. The story for him is that he basically ended up on Earth 23, President Superman's Earth. Now, he was freed by this woman with a visor on her face from Arkham Asylum. You see, he'd been solitary confinement and in recovery ever since Bane broke his back at the end of Tom King's run. So that's still not there. By the way, the miniseries is done by Joshua Williamson. Yes, he does a miniseries. But these are the other writers. Mostly these people do how should I put this? kind of like the issue 0, but they sometimes people do contribute to the main book itself. These are the other writers, and this is quite surprising given it's DC Comics. Brian Michael Bendis, a guy who actually, well, along with this series, did his run for Justice League. Currently, the only book he's doing for DC right now is Justice League versus League of Superheroes. Becky Cohen, Michael Conrad, Jeff Johns, who's currently doing Flashpoint Batman, Philip Kennedy Johnson, the current writer of Action Comics, Julie Jones, who at the time this book came out, I don't think she was working anything at this point in time when this book was first launched last year. Because, excuse me again. She had already left her for Catwoman. Oh, she was working on Wonder Girl. That's what she was working on at this point. We also have Steph Phillips, who I've met at Comic-Con. She is the writer of Harley Quinn. Tim Sheridan, he wrote a couple things for DC. One book is just going to be ending really soon. One is the Shazam miniseries, which I found pretty good. The other being Teen Titans Academy, a book that a lot of people hate. Yeah, it's also by far, for a lot of people, the weakest book in the entire Infinite Frontier library. Yep, we also have Brandon Thomas. Yes, who did 2 miniseries who basically, after he did a story in here, Aquaman the Becoming, and I believe the Black Manta miniseries. Jeffrey Thorne, yes, I think the story of some stuff Green Lantern in this issue was basically a backdoor pilot to the current Green Lantern book. Jameson IV, who was working on Batman at this point, and Dan Winters. Interesting. These are your artists for this book. The main artist is Zara Manito. These other ones are quite surprising, given the fact these people don't do that much in the book. Now, Julie Jones also does some artwork in this book, too, which is interesting. We also have artwork by Stephen Byrne, Tom Durant, Raul Fernandez, Phil Holster, Andy Perks, Jamal Eagle, Jorge Jimenez, Alex Maleev, which I met this guy once at Comic-Con. Nice guy. He's an old friend of Brian Michael Bendis. And, well, he is another person working with Brian Michael Bendis. Dave Marquez. Yes, Dave Marquez, who hasn't done a lot in the last few years. Because I think the last major book I think he worked on was Civil War II. Yes, there's also Valentin Del Gallego, Antia Martinez, Mark Morales, Jesus Marino, A.K. Marita, Christopher Merton, Tom Jurek, Paul Paliter, really got us here. Howard Porter, yes, really good. The fact that Josh Rose is basically about this guy in here. Norp Rampant, I believe this is an artist who occasionally works with Tony S. Daniel. John Romita Jr., yes, he has some pages in here. Most of them last pages of these issues. Kalaj Johnson, Raul Salvador, Dexter Soy, who had previously worked on Red Hood and the Outlaws. Jordi Turgana, I think it is. The cover is by Mitch Gerards. Yep. Now, they also have stuff here with Director Bose, which they do bring up his past from Earth 2. Yes. Oh, and by the way, the one with the visor, it's really the final issue. She's actually Cameron Chase from Earth 2. You're probably thinking, which one? There's been 3 of them. The original one. Before Christ Seven Earths. Yes, that one. Yep, I love the fact they bring up Bones' past from Earth 2, which is fantastic. Now, there's also over here with the JSA, which currently, since this miniseries wrapped up, DC's not done much hitting with that. I mean, they also, in a way, resurrect a bunch of dead superheroes in the story. They brought in Power Girl, the legit Power Girl, not the Earth 2 Power Girl from the Mr. Terrific book, the one from the original Earth 2. The second Wildcat, Elena, a character was killed off in Eclipse number 13 back in the early 1990s. Yes. They also brought an Ab Smasher in here, which that's quite surprising. Jade is here with some of these like revived superheroes. I mean, Ab Smasher was killed. I believe he was killed during Blackest Night. There's some mild references here to Blackest Night. Probably Jeff Johns co-wrote the thing. So we had this very interesting meeting in one of the stories in here that we have Alan Scott talking to his 2 kids, and he tells them he's gay. My opinion about this is that this is stupid. It was fine for the Ultimate Earth 2 Alan Scott from the James Robinson slash Tom Taylor. That book, that was fine. But this is original Earth 2 Alan Scott, who this is basically the classic one, and he says he's gay. In my opinion, this is really stupid. Yes. This is one aspect of this book that my friend Tibby and I can actually kind of agree on, because this was an absolute stupid idea. Why? Alan Scott's been straight for years. I'm not sure whose idea was it to out the regular Alan Scott as gay. Yeah, by far one of the most baffling things. I mean, if he's gay, how the heck does he have kids? Did he hit it from his own wives that he's had over the years? He's had two. First was Rose, aka Rose and Thorn, and the second one was the original Harley Quinn. One word, not the split one. Yes. Now, as for why in the world they said Adam is gay, I have no freaking idea. It's by far something that's mentioned here. I think it's brought up once or twice after this. It's almost like it's just as bad as... It's not as terrible as an idea as with Tim Drake, but it's just not a good idea. Not really. So, basically at one point, Jade disappears, and of course, Alan Scott goes after Bones, which, to my knowledge, I don't think he's ever had a fight with Bones in the in any DC comic that I can think of. I'm sure he's met Director Bones over the years, but I don't think he's met him. They do bring up the cynical touch, and by the way, they do bring up in here, I think this is probably Bendis probably doing this, they do bring up when Cameron Chase, when she's talking to Superman, who she refers to as Super Clark, because basically is anything without it, that Superman does bring up the last time he spoke to Cameron Chase, she tried to arrest his wife, Lois. Which, good continuity on that part. That's actually really good part of Josh Williamson. I know it was Bendis who wrote that, or probably Williamson himself. I have no idea. But I love all the exploration aspects of this book. And we also have Psycho Pirate being a villain, first time in a long time. I think the last time he played a major role in an event in DC Comics was probably the original Crisis, because he's been around since then. Yes, he has. He hasn't done very much since then. I mean, I think like his first appearance post-Crisis was in Grant Morrison's Animal of all places. Yeah, I thought was kind of weird. He's occasionally appeared over the years. He was a recurring character in the pages of Tom King's Batman, which that seems like a very interesting choice, given the fact he's not a Batman villain, but that was his most recent previous appearance, which got praise for that. Yep. And I like the... Really bad timing here. Yes, so... Let's see, here we go. So yeah. It's just like, the whole mystery about the Infinite Frontier is quite interesting. I really love the mystery of it. We get sort of some explanations here and there, but it's just a damn good event. Well, good miniseries nonetheless. Oh, by the way, Darkseid does appear in here. We also see the return of his daughter, Grell, the beautiful Grell, who I believe was last seen, to my knowledge, I think she was last seen in James Robinson's run for Wonder Woman. Yes, I believe that was the last time she was seen, because I don't think she's popped up since then. Here she pops up here, which is quite surprising. Yes. Yeah. Of course, the miniseries does wrap up. It does lead to something. Well, for Harper, anyways.
I'm making a video for us. I don't want to interrupt you. Okay.
Sorry about that. My dad took out the trash. Anyways, so basically, in the case of Roy Harper, and of course they also revealed Roy Harper that there's a possibility his daughter Leanne might be alive, and That, as far as I can tell, the aspect for this miniseries, that's a plot thread that's not been explored. But if you're wondering where he appeared after this, he went over to Teen Titans Academy. That's where he appeared next. In the case of the JSA, as far as I can tell, nothing was went over at all. Bone disappeared in this miniseries. Also, I think the way they set up one panel they set it up was that they were set up the Checkmate miniseries, which I'm looking forward to reviewing that one. I've read it; it's really good. I think that's where he is now, Checkmate, which is interesting. Checkmate has not played a role in, like, ever since the Flashpoint reboot happened 11 years ago. Checkmate it's been around per se, occasionally make appearances. I think the first appearance they made was actually Pages of Grayson. Yes, and aside from occasional appearances, they have not played a role in a long time until, thanks to the destruction of Argus, that they would play a role again. Yeah, Argus was destroyed during the Leviathan, so Checkmate has officially been revived as a spy agency for DC Comics. Which, you gotta love Checkmate. It's probably a little better than Argus per se, but damn good here. I even love the aspect, like a lot of like the Superman of like Earth 23. It's just damn good stuff here. Oh yeah, book is just really good. I'm gonna get the Infinite Frontier. Here's a bit of a shocker for you. I'm gonna get this book a 10 out of 10 because it's just really good from beginning to finish. And I believe this was probably one of the more recent issues that recent books before he started finding Justice League that Justin Williamson actually worked on. Yeah. Well, actually, this is actually just before he started running for Rob, which I've heard is ending soon. Yes. So, as of currently for DC, since the back is Rob was about to wrap up, and in case you're also curious though, he already ended his run on Deathstroke Incorporated. Yes, his final issue is actually issue number 9, which is a really short run. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really short run. Yeah. But as far as I've heard, he's going to be leaving DC Comics soon. And I don't really know why, but I have loved everything he's done for DC. Just really good stuff. I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular review. Like to hear everybody's thoughts about the Infinite Frontier miniseries along with the Superman One Fell Earth storyline. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review. Next up, another Comic Corner. Okay, next video. Bye.